would not do for me. She never plays it coy, my bundle of joy. She's the one I've been dreaming of. I'm overjoyed, 'cause boy, she's my gal. Nor a lady, not in the way she walks, the way she talks, or the way she loves me. Just look at me.
Got to swing. Come on now, if you haven't already had a dance, you should. Regret is a terrible, bitter pill. It's Friday, the sun's shining, you've had a drink. Have a dance, come on now. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-wop, 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 do-wop. It don't mean a thing.
Ain't nothing she would not do for me. She never plays it coy, my bundle of joy. She's the one I've been dreaming of. I'm overjoyed, 'cause boy, she's my gal. The way she talks, or the way she loves me. Just look at me, I'm like a monkey in a coconut tree. You know I'm overjoyed, 'cause boy, oh boy, she's my gal. She asks me when I say let's go out dancing. Your place or mine, don't waste my time with romancing. She's wild, she's funny, doesn't care about clothes or money. She just cares for me, she's all I need, she's my gal.
One of the things that resonates with me at that age was the outfits, how you looked. I have been fascinated with outfits and how people look in film and theatre all my life. Was that something that appeals to you when you choose your parts?
Yeah, because on screen, that part of your head is shown, but your character is entirely revealed by the clothes that you wear. And Andre Gaylor was the costume designer and gave me this incredible Edwardian coat that I sort of lived in for the 6 weeks that we were shooting. So it felt like a real comfort blanket. And we sold it at auction, at a charity auction 20 years ago. And Chris Evans, the DJ, not the actor, bought it. And then it got shredded in... He was driving one of those motorized lawnmowers, and it got shredded in that. Anyway, I've been given a replica, so I've still got one. Yeah.
Do you know, that was one of the things that in the 80s, so many people replicated that lovely Edwardian coat and jacket. It was just such a look, and even now it's an iconic image. And I bet you probably have people coming up to you all the time saying, I remember you from that film. Is that something that sort of is frustrating, that people remember that film so well, or is that a wonderful testament to...
Ancient people like you do. But anybody under the age of 50 doesn't, hasn't a clue what you're talking about. The project was going to end imminently. Then it took another 15 years before that happened. But I was long gone. I kept in England.
And of course, that's another thing. You moved over to England, and
Yeah.
but did you move to England to pursue acting, or was it just to pursue a new life?
Oh no, I arrived here when I was 25, just at the beginning of the Falklands War, and I gave myself 5 years. I thought, well, if I can't get regular employment by the time I'm 30, I'd have to go back to Swaziland and have a pineapple beer store or something like that. So it worked out. I started getting work after the first year of being a waiter.
Being a waiter.
Yeah, in Covent Garden.
And I heard somewhere that you'd come over. Swaziland was quite colonial, so you'd come over with an accent, a very English accent. And one of the first directors that worked with you said that you sounded like somebody from the 1950s.
Yeah, they did. So I then went to the Actors Centre, which you could do classes very, very cheaply on a waiter's wage. And I met a woman called Joan Washington, who was coaching different British regional accents. And I had a couple of private classes with her. And I said, can you try and make me sound like I'm from the 1980s rather than England in the 1950s? So I did, and then had no idea that this would be the person that I would then marry, and we were together for 38 years till she died 4 years ago.
Of course, Joan was the love of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And Joan, was she the inspiration? I know you've written diaries all of your life,
Yeah.
but Joan was the inspiration for your book, A Pocket Full of Happiness.
Yes. Well, the reason I became a diarist was because when I was 10 years old, coming back from a cricket match, and all the kids used to sleep on the back seat of a car, find whatever car you can, and I woke up and the car was rhythmically moving. The lights were on, but there were no lights of our house outside. And then I gingerly looked over the front seat, bucket seats in those days, 1967, and discovered my mother shagging my father's best friend on the front seat. He was a golfer, hole in one. So at the time, thank you for laughing at my trauma. I thought, well, I tried, I prayed, I got no response. I certainly couldn't tell my mother or my father or my friends. So I started keeping a diary as a way of somehow thinking this would be make what seems so bizarre real. And in the same way, all these decades later, when Joan was diagnosed on her birthday in December 2020 with terminal cancer, I thought I would write as forensically detailed a diary as I can of whatever time we had together left, because memory tricks you and you forget things. So I thought that would be a record of it. And somebody asked to publish it, and then I went back into these diaries and used the from diagnosis to her death as the framework for the narrative, then elastically seesawed back and forwards in time how we met and our combined careers. And 4 days before she died, she said to me and our daughter, I know that you're going to be sad, but I challenge you both to try and find a pocket full of happiness in each day, which has been a great mantra by which to navigate the abyss of grief that we faced. And so it's been very, very useful to do that.
Cars that we can hear, is that something of interest to you, or is that...
Yes, I love cars, and if anybody would like to leave a 1954 Daimler in their will to me, I'll be forever grateful to them, and I will do that car proud. That's what I would like.
You're probably going to get one in your Christmas stocking, I think.
I hope so, as long as it's got a Christmas pudding inside it.
Christmas pudding?
Yeah, eat once a month.
Once a month you have a
Yeah,
Christmas
because
pudding.
in January they're throwing them out of the stores in sales, and apparently everybody under the age of 40 doesn't eat them anymore. So I
I'm
hope...
obsessed with them, I love them.
Yeah, but you're over 40, you
Yeah.
see. I said you were 900. That's one.
That's true, that's true. So have you been to the revival before? Is this your first time?
I've been to the races here, but I've never been to the revival as today. I'm a virgin
You're a virgin, you're a revival virgin.
at 68.
And how have you felt? I mean, everyone's so beautifully dressed and everyone
Incredible.
comes so enthused.
Yeah,
How have you found it? What are your views so far?
absolutely jaw-droppingly amazing. I think it's fantastic. I will come every year as long as I draw breath.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, that's just amazing. You've been so lovely and generous to speak to.
Well, thank you.
And I know that the audience have been enthralled because...
They've not heard a single word. They've had to follow this lady's instructions.
I've never seen them so enthralled and quiet. So thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Apologies for my potty mouth.